Welcome back to a Podcast, episode 58. Today, we have our second to last episode for the regular season of 2022. Today, we will be recapping the Iowa game, previewing the Axe game versus Wisconsin, and then any other topics we may feel free to chime in and add. It's just three of us today. We have Soup. Say hi, Soup.
Hello.
We got Wyatt. Say hi, Wyatt.
Howdy.
And it's me, Jason. Griffin is out tonight. He has work with the Timberwolves. And we talked about this on the group chat. It might be been best for him to stay out of this episode because he had a lot to say. This is a foreshadow there, but he's
Also, between me and him, it might be a 3-hour episode.
yeah. So and he's out tonight, but we'll have some notes from him. And of course, Laurent is still out through his first year at law school. But other than that, let's get on to the episode, gentlemen. So, to start off, the Gophers lost again to Iowa. We don't have Florida Rose yet. We lost the Bronze Pig, the Bacon, 13-10
That
against
thing's
the
heavy,
Iowa
by the way.
Hawkeyes. It is. It's a heavy trophy. I remember
It's like
holding it.
95 pounds.
I remember holding it the year that State Fair when Jerry Kill after the year he won it, and it was on display at the State Fair. I was like, that's heavy, like compared
Yeah,
to the other trophies.
they had it at Kaufman for like a day after they won it. I think it was my sophomore year, and I think it's probably that same year, because that is the last time,
Yep.
sadly. And I got to hold it for a little bit, and it was like I tried to pick it up, and then I was like, oh, okay, let me widen my base a little bit, bend my knees a little bit. I had to pop it up. It was rough. So
Yeah. But let's get started into let's honestly, I feel like we could rant about this entire game. Like there's a lot of things that just so you guys were aware, I was helping my girlfriend with her family photos. Like they were taking with like holiday photos and like their traditional Hmong outfits plus like
cool.
modern American outfits like maroon, gray, black colors.
Your
Uh,
sweaters, your hats, your Burberry-looking scarves, your basic materials.
Yep,
Yes.
literally. And so I'm watching the game because essentially it's their photos. I'm not involved, so I'm just being an assistant to keep an eye on their stuff because we are in a public space. We're in Union Depot and St. Paul.
Oh, cool.
And I was just watching on my phone, and the look of anger and frustration during the first half for me, my girl was like, "You good? Are you good?" Because I'll get started on my 2 cents here before I dive into Gris, but like I was very frustrated pretty much for all the game. Like maybe like I was like maybe that made the outlook change when like we are finally scoring, getting in touchdowns, right, and getting field goals,
Touchdown.
a touchdown.
Singular.
But then everything just frustrated me. Like I don't know where to start. Like I'll say it frustrated me, and now I'll segue into Griffin's note because he put it in writing, and I'll just go let it all out. So I'll try my best to be Griffin here. So from Griffin Most, well, Minnesota had their chances but lost that game, and like we all predicted, it comes down to Iowa's defense making the timely play. Mohamed Ibrahim has officially cemented himself as the best running back in the NCAA. It's a shame that we can't win more games, so he's at least in Heisman conversation. There is no way in God's green earth a running back should run for 263 yards against Iowa's defense and their team still loses. I believe I've seen the stats put him on top three, if not one and two, in yards per catch, or yards per carry, and touchdowns. Okay, yeah, Mo had a fumble, but can you expect anything less after feeding a guy 39 times, plus all the other carries over his season? A reliable RB, but even the most reliable, it is bound to happen at some point. And then you commit 20 run plays in a row, yeah, they're going to exactly expect a pass, and boom, game over. Can you please draw a few more pass plays and run them with some consistency? As I mentioned last week, this is not a game Ethan can go raw in pass game because bad things will happen. I simply cannot give a pass to Trickett on this game. I know this game would come down to crucial points, and you can't even make a chip shot 34-yard field goal. I know he missed 2 kicks all year, but these have to be automatic. No excuses. Big difference in this game. Defensively, D-line did not attack as much as I hoped, gave Petrus way too much time, and we couldn't even cover their big one threat in Laporta that well. Enjoyed the penalty-free game, honestly, but as a biased fan, I would have liked to have a couple go our way that I thought might have been deserved. This was the year to do it. This one will sting for a while. All we can do now is move on at this point, and then I'll leave his prediction later for Wisconsin, but that's his 2 cents on this. And I'll move on to you guys. What do you guys have to say about what we saw on this game's performance?
Well, I mean, Griffin does, a really great job, I think, of kind of encapsulating what happened throughout the game. I mean, it was just like there's a lot of head scratchers that went on throughout this game, whether it was just like the game plan, timeouts usage in the first half, I'm sure we'll get to, and just, once again abandoning the passing game. I guess, I think the great point Griffin makes is that fumble by Mo Ibrahim at the end. He just, I think it's like his fourth fumble in over 850 touches. Like, that's wild. 4 fumbles and over 850 touches, and he fumbles the ball on like his 14th consecutive carry on one drive when they were having a lot of success just running the ball because they were 4 or 5 yards a pop that drive, and they just kept doing it. But stuff like that's going to happen against good teams like Iowa. It felt like to me after last game we all said, like, what more you need to see to not realize that this is not going to work against better teams. And I think this is hopefully what you needed to see to know that it's not going to work against better teams. Like, this is a prime example. You tell me at the beginning of this game that we're going to run for 260 yards or what plus or whatever, and have 399 total yards of offense, 35 minutes of possession time. I'm like, this is in a bag. Like, this is done. Like, we had to have blown them out. Like, there's no way we have 399 yards of offense against Iowa. We don't blow them out of the water. You know what I mean? And the problem is you saw one team who was willing to be explosive, or to try and be explosive at least, to put the ball out there, to take risks. And then you saw another team who was so content with not beating themselves that when the pressure situations came down, you end up beating yourselves anyway. And it's just like, I just don't get it at this point. I don't get what. I'll let Wyatt go for a little bit because I could just sit here and keep going. But for me, it was just like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we just doing the same thing again?
Yeah, I'll jump in here and give you some time to catch your breath real quick. First of all, props to Mo. I mean, even despite the fumble, like you said something like 4 fumbles career. That does sound about right. I mean, you look at the NFL. Melvin Gordon just got released by the Broncos because he's got fumbling issues. You can't get away with fumbling the football as a running back, and Mo is, Mo's one of the best I've ever seen at keeping the ball in his hands. And when you put the ball in a guy's hands 40 times in a game, that's a lot to ask, and he delivered with it. There's absolutely no reason that we should have that kind of performance from Mo and then lose the game. Like Soup said, if you're putting up 400 yards, there's maybe 5-10 teams in the entire NCAA who you can put up 400 yards against, and losing makes sense still. And Iowa's not one of them. Iowa doesn't have that offensive spark, except for, apparently we can't cover Laporta at all. But yeah, the offense is stale, and PJ's sort of playing not to lose, which is how you lose football games. And that's cliche, but that's what he's doing. He's trying. He's not putting the ball in the hands of any playmaker except for Mo. And Mo's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Mo to death. But you've got to have more than one guy that you're willing to put some trust in. And apparently PJ doesn't feel like he has that. And
Yeah.
it's extremely frustrating.
Because if you look at the moments of the game, like I get the wide receiving core and the tight end core have been struggling, especially on the pass catchers in general. Like obviously in the last, say, like after Michigan State, so pretty much the games between Purdue all the way to Iowa, we didn't have a reliable pass catcher because either they couldn't get separation, they're man to man, right? Like they're not. We don't have someone like a Crab at all.
Yeah.
That can take the top off. I get it. But I hate when like I will also hate is like PJ, you and the staff keep praising the talent and the height and the athleticism of a Brevin Span forward. And if you look at across the sideline of your opponent that we're playing, who loves to produce tight ends, like I don't know who, some of you may disagree, but I think Iowa is tight end you. Like
George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah. Maybe
Laporta's
Noah,
pretty good.
Maybe Noah Fant.
I mean, Noah Fant's in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's in the NFL. He's
Yeah.
an NFL player. He counts.
He's in the NFL, and he's in the NFL for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because Iowa produces tight ends.
Yeah, and they have amazing talent. And for the life of me, I don't know why like we didn't use Brevin at all this game. Like me, like, and also like, besides that,
well, he should have had a touchdown.
He should have had a touchdown, but besides that, it was just I thought it was stale play. Like the play calling was like. I have to give a quote to a Vikings podcast. His name is Randy. He also does stuff for Score North. I forgot what his name is. I'm sorry, Randy. But when the Vikings were coached under Mike Zimmer, he had a jingle called "Run, Run, Pass, Defense, Defense, Defense," and that's what I see in PJ's flex team right now. It's run the shit out of the ball. If it doesn't work, then you finally pass on third down. And of course, you don't convert.
Sometimes not even then.
And then you have to punt the ball away and have your defense try to make plays. But your defense can't do much if they can't even cover frickin' Sam Laporta for a first half. And also, as they get more and more tired, that allows their running game to open up even more too. Like, come on, guys. That was my two takeaways. Like while we do have Mo, who I love him to death, greatest running back in school history, maybe and like Griffin said, in the country, you can't just leave him. Like it can't just be him taking on the mantle. Like if you want to help Ethan out, use Brevin in the slot, or a single wide out. Go into the middle cushion yards. Like you don't need to go out for 10 yards, go by the first down 6 and throw the pass there. Like he can be that check down. Same thing with Mo. Mo can also be on the check down, but from what I see, I don't really trust his O-line. I don't really trust these pass catchers. I don't really trust the offensive staff right now. And maybe the last couple of years, maybe we may have been too harsh on Mike Sanford Jr., right? Because we did have him for 2 years. But hang on, let me finish.
I'm not gonna let you throw that shit around. That's not okay.
I know, but even though we had Mike Sanford Jr. and we did the same exact shit, we're still doing the same exact shit with Kirk Shiraka.
Yeah, Sanford's issues are much more scheme related than Siraka's are. Like I think
I get it.
Yeah, it's hyperbole.
I mean, look at what Mike Sanford is doing now.
Nothing.
He's continuing to do the same things at a different school.
Yeah, so I agree with you. So I think the problem on offense is that it's all a problem. You know what I mean? Like there's the balance is a big issue, where the lack thereof is a big issue. And I think kind of one thing that has stuck with me throughout this game is like Mo was open a lot as a check down. He was open a lot. And I will say we saw some warts from Ethan, like as a freshman QB in his first real starts. here. I think this was the first game we really saw, oh, yeah, he's still figuring it out. He's still a young guy, just getting his feet under him. I think a perfect example is, you've got that 3rd and 1 play on the end of the second half. There's like 47 seconds left. You have no timeouts. It's 3rd and 1. You motion Brevin across the formation. You run a quick mesh point on a play action pass. You got 3 unblocked defenders bearing down on Ethan almost immediately from the left side. He throws a ball off his back foot across his body to the receiver in the middle of the field who's got inside positioning. If it's a better throw, it probably hits him in the chest. He falls on the 1 or he's in the end zone. But he throws it behind him because of bad mechanics and hits an Iowa player in the chest. Luckily, it's not picked off. But Brevin's wide open on the left side of the field off that motion. It was schemed up for him. That's a touchdown. That's a walk-in one for him. And the problem was every pass in the passing game was a gotta have it, big play needed, obvious passing down, obvious passing situation where you have to produce. And that's just not something you can put on the quarterback right now. He can't do that for you yet, and you don't have the skill possession players to do that yet either. It's just their lack of balance is just killing them. It is really, I think, just comes down to that. Because to your point, Jason, the 1 touchdown drive they have 61 yards passing on that drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just go, let's never do that again. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, your best drive of the game comes on a drive where you pass the ball more. And then you just don't do that the rest of the way. Like, I get you are having success in the run, but the whole problem with that is you're not being explosive. And in today's age of football, college, professional, any level, explosive plays win games. And Iowa had the explosive plays. They had the 58-yard tight end screen. They had the 33-yard throw down the field. We didn't even attempt those, really. And it's a philosophy question at that point of the pass scheme is something that has been there. We've seen it work. It's the 2019 scheme. It's all there. When you watch it, it's there. You have options where guys aren't getting separation, breakdowns along pass protection, quarterback going to the wrong area of the field in his eyes. There's just a lot going wrong with it right now, and that's kind of why I think it looks so bad. But at the same time, you are so committed to the run where there's drives and there's moments where you have runs that go for 2-3 yards, and then you do it again. And then you get that big one, right? Everybody knows that's how run game works in football. You pound, you get a big one here, you get a big one here, 10 here, 12 here, 30 here, 40 here, right? He was busting off some big ones after, running into a pile basically for, some stretches of the game. And they're not afraid to get away from that. But when it comes to the passing game, any sign that it's not working, they completely abandon it. And I just don't think that that's feasible. You have to be committed to being a balanced football team these days.
Yeah, and I think there's something about being predictable, and then there's, what the Gophers are doing this season, where it's just run the football. First and second down are almost definite run plays. And then third down is, third down's not even necessarily a pass play. It's, half the time we're going to hand the ball off even if we're in 3rd and long. Because we just, for whatever reason, don't want to put the ball in Ethan's hands and put some faith in the kid. Or put the ball in Tanner's hands when Tanner was the guy. And who knows who'll start next or this coming week, but it's very frustrating to I know we have one of the best running backs in this entire country, but there's letting that back have his opportunity to shine, and there's having a complete offense, and we've done one and we haven't done the other one.
You know who would benefit a lot from a more balanced passing game?
Quarterback.
The quarterback and the running back would both
Probably the running back,
benefit
too.
a lot from a more balanced passing game. Mo wouldn't have to run into 8-man boxes for an entire game and still go off. It's just ridiculous. Like, at what point, PJ, do you have to live your own mantra, right? Change your best. That's his thing or whatever, right? When is he going to do that? When does that happen for him? Because I'm so sick of watching these timeouts in the first half just freaking fly off of the board for whatever freaking reason. I don't care. I don't care. Like, I just don't care why you're calling a timeouts in the first half. And he's, I'm going to call him for, whatever reason I think in the first half. You guys know this. It's bad. It's stupid. Stop doing it. Stop it.
Yeah, and I have the thought, like, if your defense in the bad spot, they're in a bad spot, let the talent make the play if you think it's so bad. Like,
well, here's the problem.
Like,
you cannot take a timeout, 4th and inches, in the first half and then punt. If you take a timeout, you have to go for it. You have expended a resource that you only get 6 of in the game to stop the clock when you want. If you do that on 4th and inches, you have to go for it. You cannot punt in that situation, because what happens later is exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's 3rd and 1, and you put it on your quarterback to make a play with 47 seconds left. Guess what? If you have a timeout there on 3rd and 1, there is a 99.99 chance that ball just gets handed to Muhammad Ibrahim. Get a first down. We're in 1st and goal. Now we stop the clock. Let's figure out what we're doing for these next 4 plays. Yep. And you're in a much better spot. You're in a much more comfortable spot. But for whatever reason, you already burned those because of, I don't know. I can't even begin to tell you why. One of them was you had 10 guys on the field. That's another coaching issue, right? Like, that's a different issue. But you keep putting yourself behind the 8 ball almost intentionally when it comes to these game management decisions, and they always come back and bite you. They always. Nebraska, same thing we talked about. Should have lost that game for that timeout decision too. It's ridiculous at this point that his whole thing is, you got to change your best. You got to get better every week. When he does the same freaking thing every single week. It's infuriating.
Same shit, different day.
I agree with Soup here. There was 6 timeouts called by the Gophers in that game, and I don't think there was a single good timeout call.
I think maybe the last 1 or 2 at the end of the game.
If
at that point, it doesn't matter. Yeah. At that point, the game's over, and you're trying to save yourself with those.
Mm-hmm.
If that, like, calling the timeout when there's 10 men on the field saves us from the touchdown, then yeah, maybe that's a good timeout call. But they score a touchdown. So, like, what's the point? Just let the play get run with 10 guys on the field, save the timeout.
Even then, it's just like, it has to change. You can't keep doing it.
There's got to be better. We've got to have some accountability from these coaches. And I'm not going to blame good old Uncle Joe. That defense played their hearts out, held Iowa to 13 points.
They gave up 3 points after the first quarter.
Yeah,
Yep.
They had a rough start, and then they cleaned it up.
The rough start is also, like, kind of a thing for them this year. They've kind of had rough first quarters all year long. But that's a separate issue. You know what I mean? That's an issue where it's like, hey, can we maybe clean up the first quarter? Like, is it something in our game plan? Are we not looking at the right things on film? Are we maybe playing too much of a shell on the first few points of the game?
I think they maybe are playing too conservative in that first quarter. And then they're adjusting very well.
Yeah.
They're one of the better defenses that we have in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, and I think that first play in the first quarter, they blitz off the wrong side. They got caught in a run blitz, and you get hit with a screen. Like, that happens. But, Marin also has to cover the tight end. Like, that's...
Yeah, that's true. Mariano made some mistakes. But, you can't blame the defense too much on this. And really, you can't blame, like, Ethan. Or you definitely can't blame Mo. It really comes down to what the coaches are doing out there, and they're not playing games to win.
Yeah, you lost the game last year because you were too scared to go out and win the game, and you lost the game this year because you were too scared to go out and win the game.
Yep.
It's ridiculous at this point. It's like football coaches. They're very smart people. You know what I mean? Like, you don't become a Division I college football coach for no reason. Like, that just doesn't happen. But something happens to them when they get down on the field during games and they get in these situations, and I just I don't understand. Like, you spend your whole week preparing for these things, and then you look like completely perplexed when they happen to you. And it's like, what what are you spending all week working on? Because there are times where you look unprepared in the beginning of the game on defense specifically. You look like, oh, they're throwing to their tight end. That's weird. It's like, that's the one thing they do on offense. And then it's like, oh, they blitz him a little bit and he looks shaky, but then they stop doing that. It's like, oh, well, now that they think we're going to blitz, now we shouldn't. It's like, no, just do what you do on offense. Find something that works and beat it into the freaking ground. Like, it's just, it's just really, really aggravating. And like, I love Joe Rossi. It was a great game from him. I think the defense played very, very well and even kept them in this game when realistically it should have probably been over in the first half. Yeah. Iowa left a lot of points on the board early in this game, and the defense really, really kept them alive. And then it's just like, you're so afraid of what? Like, what are you afraid of? You've gotten whipped by this team 6 times now, PJ. What do you have to lose? You know? And they don't respect you either. Like, they talk crap about you on the recruiting trail. They make fun of you and all your sayings. Like, have some goddamn self-respect at some point and come out with a little fucking fire against these guys. I'm tired of this. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous at this point. Keep doing the same crap every year against this Iowa football team and thinking, oh, well, we can't beat ourselves because they're going to make us beat ourselves. Well, guess what? Now you're pressing. And when you press, nothing good happens, and you end up beating yourself anyway because you're too scared to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm. But outside of defense, special teams.
Again, Rob Wenger, what exactly do you do here?
Did you mind if I jump in on this one, Kusu?
Please
go ahead.
Listen, I know that people are gonna look at the trick it kick and be like, well, that play could have won us the game. I hate that Matthew Trickett missed it. It sucks so bad. But I'm not going to get mad at Matty Trickett at this point. He's missed 2 kicks all year. He goes out and he makes the next one he's asked to make. He can do the job. He's fine. Obviously, that 3 points could have changed the scope of the game, but there were a lot of points left on the board. The special teams play that annoys me the most is Quentin Redding fielding the ball at the 3 on a punt rather than letting that was ready to bounce through the end zone, bounce into the end zone. He fields the ball at the 3.
70 yards away from the punter, too.
And, like, it's downwind, sure, but it's not – you can't let him punt the ball 70 yards.
It's not Ray Guy. Calm down.
Like, who fucking fields the ball at the 3-yard line when it's bouncing so hard?
And you have no blocking because you play punt safe. No matter where you are on the field, they just play punt safe. No one's blocking.
And Quentin did have some decent returns. So, like, cut him a little bit of slack.
He's going to be
like,
fine.
Mentally, you can't make that fielding choice. And he was trying to be the hero late in a game where, we didn't need him to be the hero. We needed him to make the smart play.
Again,
he didn't have the blocking to be a hero.
Yeah. Pressing in a situation where you need to make a play is when you make mistakes. It's just with special teams, it's just like, look at Iowa's special teams. They were awesome. They're great. Their punter was flipping the field all day. Their kicker was nailing his kicks. They were kicking the ball into the end zone. They're pinning you deep with punts. Like, it was great. They got a good return. They're adding value to their team. What does our special teams unit do besides Trickett, who is good, and I'm not going to fault him. It sucks he missed a kick. I agree, Wyatt, but like, kids missed 2 kicks all year. They've been both in big spots.
Like, Griffin went off on him, and that's not fair. Kid didn't lose us the game. It's leaving points on the board lost us the game. And
I think Griffin's point is more of like, why does it seem to always happen at the worst moment? Which I can empathize
that's
with.
Minnesota football for you.
Yeah.
Go fucking figure.
Yeah.
It's just with special teams, it's just like they don't like those plays might as well like it would be better almost if they just didn't even put anybody on the field during those special teams plays. Because like it's their whole philosophy is we're avoiding catastrophic, outcomes, but you still end up making them because you're trying to overcorrect so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't make any explosive special teams plays. Like you keep saying, they're not adding any value. All they're doing is, trying to avoid the catastrophic play and then walking ass backwards into it. How many times did we get pinned inside the 10?
3 or 4.
I was going to say it's 3 or 4. That's horrible.
I think our average starting position was like the 23, and Iowa's was like the 32 or something.
Yeah.
It was almost a 10-yard differential.
I was going to talk about some of the stats here. Like the special team stats are very startling compared to what we put on the board. So like punting, Torrey Taylor, their punter, only had 5 punts this game, but was 42.4 yards average, and his long was 56. That was the punt, I believe, that pinned us on the 3.
Yep.
If I remember correctly. But then, like, obviously, we know who Mark Crawford is, the kind of punter he is. But it just hurts seeing that he only had 3 punts, 39.7 average. His longest that day was only at 45.
I think Ryan Burns
That's
said
Crawford.
it best. Ryan Burns said it best about Mark Crawford. He said, when you need 39, you're going to get 39. When you need 45, you're going to get 39.
Yeah. And then their returners.
That's Mark Crawford, and we know that.
And then looking at the returners here, so Cooper DeJean only had 2 returns fielded, both for 24 yards, but one was 16 yards. That's still a good return.
That's a really good return.
Yeah, especially if they're getting the ball around the 20, 25, 30 yard line, and such getting that ball all the way to the 50. Like that's a positive special teams play. And then obviously they listed Jack Campbell's interception stuff under the punting stats and special team stats, but Jack Campbell, who got the pick off of, I think it was it Mike Brown Stevens when Ethan threw that pick? Who was it?
No, I think it was
Jackson.
Lemecki. My bad. It was
Lemecki. Yeah. Which again, that's a good play by a really good corner in Moss. And of course it just hits Jack Campbell in the face. You know what I mean?
In
like,
the hands,
just,
right there. Like
also
30 yards.
That's a touchdown, by the way. He never stepped out.
That's a
never
touchdown.
Stepped out.
I can't believe they called. And I had a group of Iowa fans sitting in front of me, and they were so furious about it. And I was like,
they should be.
Listen, guys, I don't think he stepped out either, and I would rather have the time, honestly.
Yeah.
Give me 2 minutes to drive the field rather than the 40 seconds we got.
Yeah, give us 2 minutes because we're not throwing it, and so
Yeah, like I was like, let's mention that the officiating. While Griffin said yes, it was a very clean game overall. Like in terms of the officiating, that was one very egregious call. Like, I know we're Minnesota fans,
awful.
We hate Iowa, but like that should have been a touchdown. That is not out of bounds after 30 yards. Like that's bullshit. Literally,
you can see it pretty well.
Flags were thrown the entire game.
I think I saw one. I think I remember commenting to my buddy towards the end of the game. I was like, I don't think they've thrown one yet. It was like the 3rd or 4th quarter.
I said it to Keith too because I was there with Keith, and I was like, have they thrown a flag the entire game? I think they just wanted to keep their hands in the pockets and not do their job.
Yep.
0.
And then to make that call on the interception, like, what's the point of doing that?
Yeah, I'm sure the overbetters were furious about that one. So, no, we have from our seats we can see that like pretty clearly. We're like basically almost on the line, and like I saw the like official wave his hands, and the place is going nuts. The Iowa fans are going crazy. The Gopher fans are all pointing to the official, waving his hands, saying the ball's here. And I just look at my buddy next to me and I go, I don't think he stepped out.
No,
so,
that was an amazing
agree.
Play by Jack Campbell. He kept his foot in balance. This is stupid officiating that called it back. And then obviously moving it from there.
And then you let him burn another minute and a half of clock after that, which is just let him score. Golly.
Yeah. Drew Stevens, their kicker, he scored in the first quarter and the fourth quarter at 38 and 21 yards respectively. Again, good kicker. He's doing his job. And then the kickoffs and PATs were all pretty solid as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, just really quick, like, kudos to Iowa. Like, they beat us. You know what I mean? Like, this was like, yeah, we lost this game, but like, they took advantage of you saw a team take advantage of every single opportunity presented to them, right? They get down the field early in the game on the big tight end screen. Sure, they don't come away with a touchdown. They nail the field goal. You know what I mean? They get points off of their turnovers, right? We don't get points off of our turnovers. We get, I think, we get like a field goal off of one of the turnovers, maybe, I think, towards the end of the game, because the second half you have 3 red zone drives where you only put up 3 points, and I think the one that you put up 3 points on comes on a turnover, but I could be wrong. Either way, you saw a team execute. You saw a team go out and manufacture explosive plays, even though they have an anemic offense. They're willing to try and push the ball downfield against a pretty good Gopher secondary. They said, fine, we're still going to try because we know we have to do it. They're 9.2 yards per attempt at Iowa. Like, they went for it. And I think you saw that and that's why it was extra frustrating, is because you saw a team, much like the Gophers, who play good defense and have an anemic offense, but you saw one team try and push the ball down the field, try and be an explosive offense, at least, hammering away at it and saying, all we need is 1 or 2 of these. All we need is 1 or 2 of these to hit. We'll get points, and you're not scoring on us, And they did that. They executed exactly what they wanted to do, and they got PJ to play directly into their hands too. And it's just good job, guys.
Yeah, like Brian Ferentz' offense actually looked good on that Saturday. Like,
I didn't go that far.
Good.
Yeah, but you get what I mean. Like, we actually made Brian Ferentz look good compared to what he looked like the entire season.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, there's. I feel like we could keep going about this Iowa game, but I think in the end, the way how this coaching staff is going at it, I don't blame the players. Like, here's another thing that I hate about PJ when part of his PJ speak as well. Average teams coaches lead. What was the thing? Like, no, it was average team coaches lead, elite teams
elite teams players lead.
And I'm like, if you trust your players that much, like, I swear in all the press that he loves his team, let them do it. Like, especially, I'll go back to Nebraska on that stupid timeout that he took. When they call it back to be a 4th and 1, it's not a first down. Remember, Stu, we talked about this. You have Mo, you have John Michael Schmitz.
Broadcast talked about it. They talked about it nationally.
Like,
on TV, waving.
We want to go for it. Let's go. Like, we got this. You either you run up the gut behind John Michael Schmitz and have Mo push Ethan in, or you have Mo run right behind the center. Like, this team can do his job. Same on defense. Like, I know we bitch about Mariano, like how he should have done his job in some parts of the games, but like, he is the glue that tells the team what to do, like on the defensive side of the ball, and I trust them to do what the hell they're going to do. But I swear, the timeouts and like not trusting our guys, like, I think, like you said, PJ, change your best, trust your guys. Like, right now we have one more game left in the season, and then after that regular season game, we're bowl season now. We have one bowl game, and I don't care. We have like weeks of preparation and just beat the shit out of our opponent in the bowl game, which we tend to do sometimes, but like this needs to be better.
When you're
man.
drawing these 6 and 6, 7 and 5 bowl games, and you're getting teams like Central Michigan, Georgia Tech, you can beat those teams pretty handily. But get into a better. Well, the Auburn one, I'll give PJ props on. That's a team that we knew was going to be a challenge, and we stepped up to the plate and we won that bowl game.
And I will note, the players on that roster, remember, that was also a player-led team that season. Carter
There are like
Coughlin,
five NFL dudes on that, 5, 6 NFL dudes on that
Jr.
roster.
Winston, I know I'm trying to remember all the names. It's been a long time. So Carter Coughlin, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Johnson, Antoine Winfield Jr., Kamal Martin, Winston Delalabudir, and an elite offensive line.
No, Blake Cashman was gone by then.
Cashman was gone by then. He was gone in 18. But that was an amazing team. a player-led team that PJ always talks about.
And they threw the ball a lot.
Yeah. And like that, this is the team that's why I was so excited at the start of the season. Like, especially when we beat the shit out of Michigan State, our players know what they want. They know how to win games. They know how to make things like in the best position possible to win the games. But I feel like PJ was the one that shot us in the foot after Michigan State. I feel like, and yes, during the season, we did like bitch about like, okay, Tanner wasn't seeing the field, special teams maybe not so great, defense, okay, that was on you, right? But overall, I trust our players. Like this is a good team on paper, but we're showing like where we should be is probably in the Big Ten championship conversation, but we are now looking at a 7-5 season, likely,
Sure.
or maybe 8-4, but a lot of disappointments because remember, I think Joe Klatt, like I was surprised Joe Klatt was favoring the Gophers to win the West, and then this shit show happens, and now it's between Purdue and Iowa. Like,
I mean, at the time, up through the Michigan State game, they looked unstoppable. You know what I mean? Like they looked amazing, and I think you just saw that people turned on the 2019 tape and said, "You don't have a first-round pick playing receiver anymore. We're just not going to let you do any of this," and they just refuse to adapt, right? And I think we're kind of on coaching talk right now, so I kind of want to read you guys some stats from Luke Buer, so the other host to Gopher Gridiron Radio with Ryan Burns. He's a big analytics and stats guy. He does a really good job, and this is just about PJ. And for the record, I want to start off by saying I'm still Team PJ. My last article ever for Gopher Hole was why the Minnesota Gophers should hire PJ Fleck 2 weeks before he got hired. Just want to throw that one out there. So I'm full Team PJ. Okay, nobody can say I'm not Team PJ. I fully am, but I think the shine has worn off, right? Like I think that new car smell is gone, right? Like it's people are starting to it's time for results basically. So here are some fun stats from Luke Buer. So PJ starts his career at Minnesota 5-13 in Big Ten play after his first 2 years. Since then, he is 20-13. That is a 61% win percentage. That is not even close to anyone else. He is far and away more successful in the Big Ten than any coach we've seen recently, right? Specifically to Iowa, it's his biggest roadblock for him is Iowa. He's 0-6, right? And
well, it's just like Jim Harbaugh has obviously a much better team than Ohio State as his Achilles heel. PJ cannot sneak past Iowa, and he hasn't found a way yet. Maybe next season. Who knows?
Yep. So I mean, I think we all have to take a step back, and with all the frustration that we all feel, and understand that the floor of this program has been raised significantly to where it was just 6 years ago before he got here. And that deserves a little bit of credit and respect, and I give him those things. But I think next year is a big one, and I think everybody knows it. And I think how you finish out this year matters, because if you take the axe back from Wisconsin and you keep it at home, I guess, and then you win your bowl game, that goes down a lot better than the alternative. So we can talk some Wisconsin now. I just want to say I think PJ's raised the floor of the program a lot, and we can still be very critical of him and his decision making and the way he goes about, running a football game, while recognizing that this team is in a much better spot program-wise than it was.
And I have to agree, and Wyatt too, right? You agree?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, I think back. I don't even think back at Jerry Kill, because Jerry Kill's program wasn't like terrible. It was worse than PJ's.
But it wasn't. It was pretty bad.
But I look back at, like, I grew up in the Tim Brewster era of Minnesota football.
Oh, not Funky Brewster.
Like where the floor of the team was 2 wins a season, and the ceiling was probably 2 games above that at 4 wins a season. And PJ's just leagues better than that.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, PJ, some of his issue, I think, is that he is so convicted in what he believes, which is like a good thing most of the time, but that his unwillingness to change, I think, something needs to happen, right? And I think the perfect moment is me looking at my buddy at the game after the first half and going, pretty weird game plan for a 4-star quarterback that you are really high on publicly. And it's just like, when are your words going to match up with what you do on the field? That's the thing.
You said it best early in the show. Is he keeps spewing this mantra of change your best, and it's about time that he delivers on it. Because a lot of these players have changed their best, and it's time for PJ to show that he can do it too.
I agree. On to the Axe game.
Yep. So, gentlemen, last game of the season, of the regular season, week 13, during the Thanksgiving holiday. I don't think all of us are planning to be at the game, right? Like, I have family stuff here for Thanksgiving. What about you guys before we chime into the game?
Yeah, I will not be in Madison. I believe there's a Tenor Sax trip out to Madison, but I will not be there.
You won't ever catch me in that rundown, concrete piece of garbage stadium that they think is so cool.
Cool. All right. So, again, last regular season game of the season. It's going to be airing on ESPN on the 26th at a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. A 7-4 Golden Gophers team is coming into a 6-5 Badger team. Some notes here. Here's the betting stuff. Spread Gophers a +3.5. Over under is 34.5. ESPN's FPI, even though we bitch about their FPI, I'm still going to read it. Favoring Wisconsin 54% to the Gophers 46%. In terms of their last 5 games so far, they won against Nebraska last week, winning 15-14. Okay, if I'm being honest, but I watched that game. Nebraska fucking blew it. Outside of that, they lost to Wisconsin 24-10. They beat Maryland. They beat Purdue. And they lost to Michigan State in OT. And that's with obviously Graham Mertz at quarterback, Braylon Allen, their star running back, and I know his last. I can't remember his first name. DK, is their top receiver at 39 receptions at 601 yards. From there, that is it from what I can read out about this game against the Badgers. But it's Axe game. We're hoping to keep the Axe at home, hopefully for consecutive seasons. As I say that,
That'd be pretty cool.
But what are you guys' thoughts or notes on this game coming up?
Insert Grand Theft Auto GIF. Shit, here we go again, right? The problem is that like when this team executes, they are very good. When this team executes within the passing game and the running game and they remain balanced, they're very tough to beat, right? A lot of people will say, oh, well, they still haven't really been balanced even in the games where they win. But I would disagree and say, well, they are balanced up until the point where they have that 2-score lead and then they just sit on the football, which is why the numbers look the way they do. But you really are going to have to show something else. You just are. And I feel like we've been saying this now for like a month, but like you have to have a better plan for passing the ball. You will not beat Wisconsin the same way you hung around Iowa. You won't. You just saw it fall apart for you in like the best case scenario you could possibly have. So what do you have for me that's different this week? On offense. On defense, let's see more of the same. And let's get some ball production, right? Like Terrell Smith has one, hit him in the chest in a low red zone. That would have been a monumental turnover after the, I think it was right after the fumble. It was like 2 plays after Mohamed Ibrahim's fumble. And like the defense, you guys got to come out hot. Like No more of this first quarter, what's happening, let's figure it out. We know who Wisconsin is. And to Joe Rossi's credit, he's been pretty dang good against Wisconsin his entire tenure here.
Like
He has figured them out.
He has Wisconsin's phone number. Like I have your number.
Yeah.
I
Joe
know
has
you.
their number.
He does. So just more of the same from him. Make Mertz give you the ball because he'll do it, right? And then again, just know you can't give up the big plays because Iowa's running back's not fast enough to house that one that he breaks off for 40 or whatever. Braylon Allen is, okay? You let Braylon Allen get in the secondary if Tyler Newman or Jordan Howden misses, good luck. See you later. So none of that. Make Mertz beat you. Just please make Mertz beat you.
Yeah, and we've seen Mertz from his time as a starter in Wisconsin. He has not been good, like plain and simple. And
Can I just comment on that really quick?
ahead.
An open letter to Laurence. What the fuck were you talking about, my guy? Singing Graham Mertz praises. He was shaking in his boots about Graham Mertz, and Graham Mertz has just not been good.
I believe that's called emotional hedging.
Graham Mertz is not good, but if we don't go out there and show something new, like Soup says, Graham Mertz is good enough to beat us. He can hand the ball to Braylon Allen 30 times a game.
You know who's not as good as Graham Mertz? Spencer Petras.
I was about to say.
I was going to say Spencer Petras is probably...
And he just threw for like 250 on us, so...
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's painful.
Yep, I think you gotta dial up more pressure. It's pretty simple. Like teams that get to the quarterback make plays on defense. That's it. It's not hard. It's not hard philosophically, but I think the problem that they're realizing is that personnel-wise, you're really only getting pressure from Ja Joyner, who Iowa basically their plan was our tackle is diving in his knees every play. That's what they did to him.
I saw that and I was like, that's so...
It's annoying. It's so annoying.
And annoying, and I hate it. It's just cheap blocking.
Yeah, I mean, but they had a plan for him, right? And that just shows the respect that somebody like Ja is getting right now. And then you have Jalen Logan Redding. They were mixing it up on the defensive line last game, which was cool. They had young guys in there. They're trying to figure something out. But I'm still not seeing a lot of twists or stunts. Like, I'm not seeing any creative pressures up front. And the only pressures I am seeing that are even successful are ones where you take your defensive backs out of coverage, which I think is tough because I think Rossi knows his strongest unit is his defensive backs, and he would love if he could blitz productively with his linebackers. But, I hope Braylon Oliver is all right. I hope his injury is not serious. The kid's got some injury history. It's just really unfortunate to see a guy not be able to stay healthy with the kind of athleticism that he has. With all that being said, he had a free shot at Spencer Petras, who's about as mobile as I am, and missed him. Can't have it. And so I don't think Joe wants to take guys out of coverage to blitz because that's his strong unit. He wants Terrell Smith back there tracking the football when Mertz throws a duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same thing with Nubin or Wally
same thing
or
with Nubin,
Howden.
Same thing with Howden. And they're going to blitz those guys from time to time just to show you something different. But I think for the most part, when you start blitzing with your defensive backs too much, you really leave yourself susceptible to big plays. And they don't want to do that. So, and they're not getting pressure with their front seven. So it's a tough spot.
Yeah, and I also mentioned like our linebacking core especially with Cody Lindenberg getting more starting time. And then of course Braylon Oliver, Mariano Sori-Marin is on that rotation on that side of the ball for them, a linebacker. Like it's been pretty solid. And then of course Ja's getting his due against these offenses. Like they're doubling him, bracketing him so that he doesn't get to their quarterback.
Diving at his knees.
Yeah, and our defense, like we talked this and harped this on a lot. Like all of Joe Rossi's defenses for his tenure as defensive coordinator, like outside, like take the maybe the first year and a half of Ross Smith out the picture, but what Joe Rossi has done with this Minnesota defense has brought us to top 10, top 20 level defensive performance in the entire country. and one of the top units,
consistently.
and then one of the top units in the Big Ten. Like
The consistency that Joe has gotten with the talent that he has, because I don't think that the talent, especially right now on the defensive line, is where it was last year. I think you're seeing exactly how good a Sezi was last year too, because you're not getting any interior pressure with your front four, and I think it really speaks to how good of a coach Joe Rossi is, that he is able to still consistently churn out good defense when we're all sitting here saying they have problems and saying they have issues getting to the quarterback, which is a really big deal in today's age of football. But the fact that they're still consistently able to limit opponents is, I mean, it's just really good.
But I do want to mention on the counter to that, Wisconsin's defense, they were under the direction of defensive coordinator Jim Leonard, who is now the interim head coach. I do want to mention, it feels like it's been forever ago, but Paul Chryst did get fired earlier this season, and Jim Leonard is pretty much, this is his audition to become either head coach for Wisconsin or elsewhere.
They're gonna hire him.
Yeah, assuming he wins.
No, they'll hire him.
Oh, really? You think
they'll hire him either way? I mean, I think that team is already looking a lot better than they were looking at the beginning of the season. I mean, they lost to Washington State, and then, they get boat raced by Ohio State, which, that's going to happen. They lose to Illinois by 24, and then they lose to Michigan State. Like, that's a stinker, I think, for you, Jim Leonard. But I don't like the Chryst firing, as we talked about, was just, it was kind of weird. But like, I think they've seen enough from Jim Leonard, and it's Wisconsin. They want to keep it in house, and they want to keep their guys and stuff. So I think he'll get it.
But outside of that, their defensive unit, while they did lose a lot of guys, they actually stepped up. Like, as the season went on, like, there's still a unit that we should be careful about. Like, don't sleep on it.
Absolutely,
but
yeah.
I will also want to mention they do lose one of their upperclassmen linebackers. I forgot his first name, but Herbig is going to be out the first half against us because he got got called for targeting in the second half of Nebraska. So while they do lose a guy, I know some fans are like, okay, we don't have this guy for like one half, but still, it's a Wisconsin defense. We know what they do, and they're good at it. So
it's a very important position.
Yeah. So besides that, I do agree with all you guys. Like, when we step out of the gates for defense, be aggressive. Like, send everything. Of course, don't like. I know we just talked about, like, don't make Rossi, don't send the corner or safety blitz, right? Just so you can get pressure in, but like
not all the time.
Not all the time.
I mean, definitely send it occasionally.
Yeah, because like Newman on the blitz is terrifying. So.
Yep. And then obviously on the offense, like, I agree, we need to be balanced. Like, what more can we bitch about? Like, it's the same shit, same conversation every.
It's like we're not asking for much. We're asking for balance at this point. We're not even asking for like a pass heavy attack. Which, like, when we had Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson, people were like, "Why don't we just keep throwing the ball? Who cares?" So, and I think now it's just like you have to sit in the film room after this week and watch the way Iowa played you in the second half and say, "Oh man, why didn't we throw the ball more? Why didn't we try to develop something in the pass game a little more?" I think you need to have a little more tenacity with the passing game. I don't think, he did his media availability today, and he got asked if the philosophy of the passing game needs to change, right? And he said, no, I don't think it does. I think we have to execute better, which is what he's been saying for 3 weeks now. But I think he's right. I don't think the scheme and the passing game philosophy itself needs to change. I think the head coach's philosophy towards passing needs to change. I think that's the problem. I don't think we're looking at a schematic issue. I think we are looking at an issue with the head coach and his nature as a coach.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, anything else you want to bring up before this game coming up, or no?
Take care of business. I mean, you're better than this Wisconsin team this year. You are. Mm-hmm. You have the better football team right now.
This is the first year that we've been able to say that.
Yep.
This is the first year where we've been going into the Wisconsin game and we know we have better talent on this roster than they do, and
Yeah.
that's maybe the first time in my life that that's been true.
Correct. But actually, I do want to mention one last tidbit here. Wyatt, you alluded this way earlier, but we got lost in the sea of rants. But we do we know any info that is Tanner done in his career as quarterback for the Gophers, or do we see him potentially coming for this game?
I don't know. I have no
If it
idea.
matters, I really don't.
I don't know if it matters in this Wisconsin game in particular. I don't think Tanner necessarily is I think last game with Iowa, I think Ethan gives you a lot more just because he's a better athlete, bigger arm, the stuff we talked about last week. With this Wisconsin game, I think like the way Wisconsin plays defense that, you could take either or. I don't know what's going on with Tanner right now. I haven't heard anything, so I couldn't really tell you, but I feel like it'd be really hard to put him in with just a week of prep for Wisconsin.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was just curious what you guys thought because like you guys mentioned, we our best chance right now is with Ethan. He's been in that starting lineup for a few weeks now, and with the short term, especially with the Thanksgiving stuff this week, we're anticipating pretty much like some practices, and they have like that day off or something, or their own Thanksgiving stuff. So, but I agree. I anticipate Ethan to go out there and, come on, guys, be balanced. That's all we ask from Open Podcast. That's our open letter. Golden Gopher offense, be balanced. But outside of that, let's go into predictions then. Like I mentioned, Gophers a +3.5. Over under at being 34.5. So I'll start off and then we'll go Soup and then Wyatt. I'm going to
I almost knocked it out of the park last week. I was really close.
I know you did.
It was also close.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what I said, but I know that I wasn't that far off.
You said we lose 10-16. Soup said 13-17.
Yeah. No, those are good ballparks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty good.
But this week, so I said dub in the preseason, and I'm gonna stick by it. I want to rub into my sister's face, because we're both. I'm a Gopher. She's a Badger. So, sibling rivalry plus school rivalry. I'll take it. So I'm gonna say the Gophers take the dub, 21-17.
I'm going with the Gophers. I want the X. I'm going with the narrative of let's see some juice heading into the bowl game / off season with a young quarterback. Let's just cut him loose and see what happens. So I'm going to go 24-14. I think the defense has a good day.
All right, Wyatt?
What did I say in the preseason?
L.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I think I'll stick with it. I don't like sticking with it because I would like to see the X. But I want the Gophers to go out and prove to me that they can win it before I'm going to, give it to them.
Yeah, someone has to save us from jinxing them too.
Yeah. So we'll call it a 23-17 Wisconsin.
Oh, I like that. That's gross.
It's a gross score, and I think it's going to be a gross game no matter what. Ooh. I just hope it's a gross game that the Gophers are a little less gross than Wisconsin is.
Do you think there's a safety in that?
No. I think that there's 3 field goals on the Wisconsin side.
Nice.
All right. We'll take that. All right.
Which is just really gross anytime there's a 3rd field goal.
And it's still the under too, which is even better. It's like a lot of points, but not enough for the over.
Yeah. Literally.
It's unbelievable that the over under is so low, and we're all still sitting there like, yeah, this is an under. But we showed it at Iowa last week. This is why the over under is so low when we're on the field.
Two teams that are not explosive on offense. What could possibly happen?
Vegas knows. But cool. Well, that is it for previewing the Wisconsin game, ladies and gentlemen, and any of those are listening or non-binary. So going on from there, you guys have any topics to discuss, either be in the college football or NFL world or any other sports?
Oh gosh, do we have new CFP rankings yet?
No, it's too early.
I will note the Tennessee game.
Yeah, I had a friend at that game.
One, obviously Tennessee got smoked with South Carolina scoring almost the over under by themselves. And two, Heisman candidate Herndon Hooker out for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yikes.
That's heartbreaking for a guy who's playing
awful,
out of his mind football.
Yeah.
And it's really devastating for him. But you hope he's better by draft day, or at least by start of the season, NFL season, because you have to think that he might hear his name called somewhere.
Yeah, he will.
That kid is so talented.
He is. And I do want to mention this past weekend was like a scare weekend for like the top teams in the rankings, because Michigan ekes out against Illinois 19-17.
That was a tight one too.
Yeah.
I was watching that while I was at Sturb.
Iowa State played a relatively bad game as well.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it doesn't look so much like it because the final score isn't that close. But they were not, moving up on Maryland till late.
I think Maryland's better than a lot of people give them credit for. I think Talia's got some gas.
True. That's definitely true. But
I think it's a very different team when they have Talia out there
at quarterback for sure. But I do want to mention, you guys watched that TCU Baylor game? Like, holy fuck, that game!
Yeah, that was
ended.
It's another one that just you don't know where these teams are coming from.
Yeah, and then UCLA squeaks out ahead of UCLA 48-45.
Yep.
Oregon.
Now they're getting up. Now they're getting some playoff. They're getting some playoff hype now too.
Yep. What else here? Georgia Tech beats North Carolina 21-17. Let's see. I know it's like UCF is ranked 20, but Navy goes out there and beats UCF 17-14.
I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I mean, that's losing to a service academy is not what you want to be doing.
That's a team that's looking to, be the top ranked power or group of 5 team.
Yeah, that's not.
But yeah, it was. I don't know.
Oklahoma State going down to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah,
that happened.
Man, that there was so many good games to watch, man. And then on the Big Ten side, though, like let me change from the top 25 to the Big Ten, like in the first segment of games in the morning, like Northwestern kept Purdue super close as well. And I think they had I don't know who the hell was their quarterback, because like I think Sullivan's still out. Cole Freeman stepped in at quarterback, pretty much like a running quarterback. He doesn't really throw, honestly. So like Purdue survives that. Obviously, Illinois loses close to Michigan. Ohio State almost loses to Maryland. Let's see, where is the other one? Indiana and Michigan State was close at the end too. Like, that was a fun game to watch. And of course, our game with Iowa was so close. Like,
Cole Freeman looks like Zach Wilson. I just pulled up his picture because I was like, who? Because that's not one of the guys they played against us, is it?
No, I don't think he played at all against us, I think.
No, he did.
At the end of the game?
He was 1 for 3 for 7 yards at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But he looks just like Zach Wilson. That's so funny.
And Zach Wilson getting chewed out on Twitter and everything.
He's playing just as effectively as Zach Wilson too.
Oh man, if you guys want to talk about fun football games, the Bears-Jets game this weekend, we might have the like Mike White, Trevor Siemian game that we've all been waiting for. Flex that baby to prime time. Get that at 8 p.m., please.
Hey, sell that one to Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, but you know,
Honestly, both teams should get a tie, and they just shouldn't play that game.
I
if
know,
that's the
right?
case.
And then I was laughing so hard when I saw CBS stop showing the Cowboys Vikings game. I was like, "You go, CBS."
Was the right call.
You're like, yeah, we're done here.
Yep. Rip Jim Nance and Tony Romo because like there's not
You
much
guys
they
can
do.
go hit Cowboy Jacks early. See ya.
Yep. And then like, yeah, that's right now Monday Night Football. Let's see, Cardinals has the ball at the Arizona 42-yard line. 11 minutes and 25 seconds in the first.
Hey, did Kyler Murray actually make it onto the field?
No, it's double XP weekend, dude.
Colt McCoy's out on their offense.
Warzone 2 just came out, man. Oh, that shoulder. Ooh.
All right. Well, other than that, gentlemen, should we end it here tonight?
Sure.
I think I'm okay calling it here.
I'm still sad.
Yeah, that's fair, Soup.
Yeah. Nothing's going on for either of our favorite teams, either be on the pros or NFL, in the NFL and college.
You guys are what, 8-2? Relax.
I know.
Relax. We're picking third in the draft over here.
We're
We're not the
8-2,
same.
and our quarterback cannot play outside of the noon times.
Or the pocket.
Or that.
Or the pocket.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Very, very true.
Yeah,
But-
and mine's got a bum shoulder now, and I'm sad.
Yeah,
That
that's really
sucks.
tragic.
That sucks. Yeah.
Just you know, we play like I think the Jets, Green Bay, and then we have like a bye week and play like Philadelphia and Buffalo. I'm like, maybe we should just be done. Like,
Call it off after the Jets game this week.
Yeah.
You know, they went 2.77 inches per play in the second half against the Patriots.
hey, but you know, it's a good thing that you know there was no other quarterbacks on the board when the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, because you know that'd be very shameful if there was.
But yeah, we'll end it here. As everyone's aware, the three of us are still pretty sad and frustrated. TLDR.
Understandably so.
Yeah. But we'll end it here tonight. First of all, have a very great Thanksgiving. Spend some time with your friends and family. Have a great time this upcoming week and weekend. Stay safe with the holiday travels. Soup, have a safe road trip back to Chicago coming up. And if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving and just listen to us for our banter and antics, well, we wish you a great week then on that front. But we'll be back next week to recap the Wisconsin game, and then from there we just make probably just a recap and maybe some bowl predictions at where we're going for the bowl game. But the bowl game stuff won't come out until after championship weekend, obviously. So we'll recap the game, and then maybe we'll come up again with the podcast to review the bowl game, and that'll be it. So about 2 more episodes left in the season for sure. But first of all, thank you so much for listening and watching Opa Podcast today, and we wish you guys a great Thanksgiving holiday. But I'm one of your hosts, Jason O, along with
Sad Soup.
Sad Wyatt.
And we'll see you
Doesn't
guys
have the same ring.
and we'll see you guys next time. And
Oh.